people don't appreciate life until they can no longer live it, most certainly not the way they want to. So I'm going to repeat that. Most people don't appreciate life until they no longer can live it the way they want to. That's what I'm going to talk about with Michael. Most people don't appreciate life until they can no longer live it.
Yeah, I think people let things go by and they don't appreciate it, and they just they forget about it, and they take things for granted. Like if my arms were gone, I'd be screwed because I wouldn't be able to get anywhere, do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's
it's
true. So I
yeah,
looked a couple of things up. One was appreciation of life and limb, and then automatically it got changed into appreciation of life, limb, and time, which of course is exactly what I wanted to talk about. And this was in to celebrate actually uh, the the people who give their life to us every day, police, firemen, and paramedics, all those who fight trauma, basically. And on the top of the list, I didn't send it to you, and I think it's from Ireland or England. There was actually, I'm not going to say it's the constitutional rights, but it was about what are people allowed to do. So do no harm to others and don't do any self-harm. That's what
yeah,
showed up primarily, and I was a little surprised to actually see that.
yeah,
So
yeah. I wouldn't think that would be the first thing that people would go to in that case. Yeah, I'd be
yeah.
surprised too.
So the reason I was talking about this was I was a little bit flabbergasted, and because I found out that a friend of mine, someone I had planned on meeting, but she lived in the U.S.
Hmm.
So we knew one another. I know the family, so I met her through her brother. So her brother is a musician, so I know him. And I actually got in touch with the whole family at some point. It was kind of funny, including the mom.
Okay.
And so he's our age, and then all
Hmm.
of a
Yeah.
sudden, boom, gone, heartache, leaving
Yeah.
behind two sons who fortunately can take care of themselves, but still,
Yeah. Well, yeah. You
and
never know. People can
no,
leave at any moment. Yeah.
um, the thing is, of course, this can happen to us too.
Yeah.
So one thing could be, what if we no longer have the ability to do what we want to do? As
Hmm.
in what you said, what if you don't have arms? Well, um, so now and then, there are things which happen to me, uh, because of the body I have, the hypermobility, being
Hmm.
too flexible, and as a result, things to the ankle, things to my knees, now my back.
Yeah.
And every time I get to do something again, I appreciate it even more because I know what it is to be limited in living a certain quality of life, or better
Mm.
said, doing the things I want to do. That's it, because it's about freedom for me.
Yeah. I need to
And
appreciate more.
yeah, absolutely. And that for me, that went to like, okay, but I know a lot of people out there who actually say, if life would be over,
Hmm.
I would be okay with it. And, back in the days when I was growing up, I was like, well, I don't want to be over half a century old because that's when we start to deteriorate our bodies. Well, little did
Hmm.
I know that for me, it wouldn't make any difference at that age. Although I do believe that we have to maintain. our body to certain standards in order to
Mhm.
make sure that it doesn't decline too fast. Uh, but apart from that, when he said I would be okay, I was like, but I wouldn't be. There's still so much I want to do because I want to leave a legacy for the people out there.
Yeah.
So basically, that they know it's okay. You can be heard, you can be seen, you can be understood, and let's help you find your voice.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um. Yeah. So many people. Too many people are quiet and let life just passing by, and are afraid of doing what they want to do to make it to make a difference.
that's a good one to make a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
I even wonder if people think about the possibility of making a difference.
Probably not. I mean, they probably don't think that they're capable of doing enough to make a difference or uh, change the world in any way.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess you're right. So I recorded two little videos
Hmm.
prior to this show, and one I don't know if you've seen it was about my dad. So
I haven't
so
watched.
my dad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I haven't. I hadn't watched them.
Oh, okay. Well, he passed away like a decade ago,
Okay.
and he was 87, close to 88. And well, my dad was this big guy, 6'6", and I can tell you, a lot of people still till this day remember him.
Hmm.
Um, they actually still remember my mom too because she was so different. So the both of them really stood out in the neighborhood because well there was my dad was 6'6", and then there was my mom who was five, I don't know, 5'4" maybe.
Oh,
She wasn't that tall anyway.
well.
Um,
My brother's 6'2", and my sister-in-law is like 5'2", I think.
yeah, well then you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So but my mom, of course, she was the one with the black hair and the dark eyes and always dressed in bright colors. And I do have to say that it's a bit of shame that she felt that she couldn't do that anymore at some point. She still did, but some people talked her down because of it, like, oh, you can't do that at your age. Or they just say, oh, look at you in those bright colors. And
Hmm.
I would like to think that was envy. And it suited my mom. My mom came from a country where bright colors were normal. So
Yeah.
yeah, so when it comes to authenticity, my mom was very authentic. Well, then you have my dad. So he was very authentic too, because
Hmm.
he did what he wanted to do. And he
Yeah.
didn't really think or cared about what anyone else said.
Yeah, I get that.
A little bit about what my mom said, but
Yeah.
that was about it.
Mm.
But
Yeah, I get that.
he appreciated life. He appreciated life, and right until the last minute, or actually the last week, he did everything literally which was in his power to get a better quality and a longer life.
Hmm.
So he went to the hospital and he said, my back is still hurting. Can you do a scan? Figure out what it is. And well, it was the he probably it was a combination of a bladder tumor,
Hmm.
and because of it, his kidneys hurt. And if your kidneys start failing, it really hurts. It really,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
really hurts.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, I haven't experienced it, but I have been told that that's one
Yeah.
of the worst
Well,
things.
I've had my share of kidney infections, and that they do hurt. You know.
Okay. Well, yeah, apparently the sides hurt and everything, so it seems to be very, well, is it a sharp pain?
It's painful. I have trouble breathing. Yeah, it's pretty sharp. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like every time you take a breath, you get like a knife in the back.
Well, that sounds pretty painful to me.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
yeah. So they did the scans. They missed that he had a tumor in his bladder on there, and I actually reminded them to take another look at the scans when it was actually almost too late. So that week when he heard, no, everything is good, that's the same week he passed away.
Yeah.
Um, but here's the thing: up till now, people still know who he is,
Hmm.
and um, because he loved to talk. He loved to talk about New Guinea and where he had traveled and all those things. And you could tell because, and that's what I said on the video, the memories of I have of my dad, especially in his latest years when he couldn't do much more. He would be there, standing in front of the door, and it was a glass door because of the store, and then
Hmm.
big smile on his face. So I would come, and then the next week my sister would come, and we would take turns, and then we would go do grocery shopping.
Hmm.
So he loved to go to the market, and then he would look around, and then there was like, oh, there is an orange there, oh, a banana there, oh, the tangerine here, and he would be looking, and he would really look at the quality of the stuff, and oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good enough for your mom. No, that doesn't suit her. Okay, let's go to the next thing. And he was so in his element, like a kid in the toy store. And I would be like, oh my god, another hour, all that stuff, because I could be very tired every once in a while.
Yeah.
And um, but it was so fun to see him and how happy he was, that smile on his face, and especially that one time when we were at the mall, and just before Christmas time, we've got St. Nicholas. There was this orchestra consisting of dressed up Pete's, and he was singing along those St. Nicholas tunes, and I was like, ooh, he is singing along those tunes. And that was so cool because I like that atmosphere too, of
Yeah.
festivities and all that stuff. And he totally had an appreciation of life. He tried to make the most of it right up until the end. That was
Yeah.
my dad.
My, my grandfather uh, died when he was 83. He was sharp as a tack until like 6 months before he passed. He would tell me
That's what I
stories like
mean.
years old.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, if you have the opportunity, for those who still are around, make sure that you write down some of those stories or you record it somewhere.
Yeah.
The moment they are no longer around, that's when you're going to start missing those stories. Um, anyway, I also looked up some statements about appreciation, gratitude, and regret. I wanted to say what the dictionary was saying about it. Um, Starting with appreciation,
Hmm.
recognition, and enjoyment of the good qualities of something or someone. Um,
Yeah.
so it was okay, good qualities.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think people appreciate enough of what's around them. They don't like
Yes.
about it. They don't think about it too much. They don't like they take it for granted. They don't like appreciate it. They don't appreciate it. They don't look at it. They don't think about it. They don't like you know. Yeah, people let things pass them by, and then that's it.
Yeah. And that's why I started with the story. I mean, what if boom, life is suddenly over?
Yeah, yeah, because that could happen like in a flash.
Yeah. And I've heard so many stories of people our age and sometimes even younger who
Hmm.
all of a sudden died. And I don't mean in an accident, but I mean with a heart attack or something.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes, of course, diseases like cancer, but I really mean like in the spur of the moment kind of things.
Yeah,
Um, then gratitude, because you were talking about gratitude, and I was like, okay, so where is the difference between gratitude and appreciation? Because I felt appreciation was stronger. And gratitude is the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness.
Yeah, I think gratitude is a little bit a deeper level than appreciation.
Yeah. So the appreciation is actually that um, of the gratitude is that you're capable of showing the appreciation,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the appreciation self is that you are actually more aware of it. And
Yeah.
then, of course, there's the regret, because I felt regret fitted into all of this, because this is about if you are not aware, then are you going to regret it at one time or another?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's basically the question.
The way I am is I regret the things I didn't do, not the things I actually did do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
The things you didn't do.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I mean, the chances you didn't take, the things you wanted to do, but you didn't have you were a chicken to. You didn't have the cojones to do. You didn't like
yes.
cheek. You know, that's the things I regret.
Hmm. So I'm going to read for a sec what it says here, and then I'm curious what it is you still would like to do, or what you can't do anymore, what you would have liked to do. So regret is a feeling of sadness, repentance, or disappointment over an occurrence or something that one has done or failed to do.
Yeah.
So
Um. What was that?
is there something that you now say, I just wish I would have done this earlier in life or done this at all, and that you may not be able to do anymore?
Well, um, I want to get my black belt in kempo. That's gonna take a while, but I want to do it, but I can't afford it right now. So that's the only reason it's not happening. And then I regret that I took so long to do my writing because I'm doing like freelance writing right now, but I took a long time to actually get there. So I think waiting on how long it took to actually get to the point where I thought I could do it was I regret that.
Yeah, I get that. As for the first one, is it about um, you working at it to accomplish it as best as you can, as in achieving that black belt? Does it have to be done for a certain age?
No, it's whatever age. It's just I can't afford it right now, so I gotta wait until I can afford it. I'm a yellow belt
That's
right
true.
now. Then I had to stop
Yeah.
because it costs money.
Well, and that's probably the thing. If I want people to take anything out of this, away from this life, it would be do things when you can still afford to do it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
It's it's
yeah.
it's the it's the most important thing, and you're saying it. Don't wait, don't postpone it because
Oh
of
yeah.
time, money, whatever got in the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can post. You can post if you can't afford it. You can't afford it. You gotta. If you have to postpone it, you have to postpone it. But just know, just I think that should give you more of a direction of how you can do things in the future to afford to be able to afford it, so that you can do what you want to do. You just have to be
Yes.
more careful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So I know that there's a big difference, of course, for people who have children and people who do
Hmm.
not have children.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have children, there is a certain responsibility. Um, you have to, you want to make sure that they can go to the schools that they need to go. I'm not always going to say that they want to go, but at least
Yeah.
what what it makes them achieve what they want to achieve in life,
Hmm.
and also that they can eat healthy. and that they are capable of getting dressed, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, the luxury things, brands, being able to go on trips, it's nice, but it's not necessarily necessary to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the moment that you start working yourself,
Mm-hmm.
when the kid becomes the adult,
Yeah.
and you start your own life and you start living on your own, or with someone else, that's of course the moment that you can start thinking about, okay, what do I want to do? Am I going to
Yeah.
postpone traveling? Am I going to postpone taking up courses? Am I going to postpone getting good at certain sports? Am I going to postpone getting on stage? I'm just
Yeah.
randomly listing things.
At that point, you already postponed your life so much. You shouldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, but well, when you're growing up and you become a teenager and next an adolescent and then an adult, you don't really have a choice yet.
Mm. Well,
You
no.
have a choice to a certain degree.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Up until you're 18, you don't. You have a lot less choices.
Yes. But the moment that you live on your own and you're no longer
Mm-hmm.
tied to the rules, and you are,
Yeah.
and that's the most important thing, no longer dependent on other people, that's when you can start to choose, like, okay, what do I want to do? What am I going to do with my time, with my money? And
Mm-hmm.
I I don't believe that many people are aware of the quality of life they have when they are still between 20 and 30 and then afterwards. Hey, Mariela, because life afterwards actually goes down really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes very fast. Yeah.
Yeah, and we get to notice it after 40. But, one of the things, and that's kind of cool. So I've got this cousin, she's 18 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and she went to Bali on her own. And not just that, she actually learned language. So,
What do they speak there?
well, I must assume Bahasa Indonesia.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So,
I don't know much
uh,
about it.
yeah, but that's cool. And I was like, wow, at 18 years old, traveling already to the places you want to, going far away. And
Yeah.
I also know examples of children who are almost 18 years old and who are still, how do I say this without? Well, let's put it this way: they they think everything mom decides is okay,
Yeah.
and they shouldn't have, and they don't want to do anything else because they haven't explored life just yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I
I
guess that's the difference.
I've only ever been out of the country once. I'm not like a big traveler.
Mhm.
So when I was 19, I went to Ireland, but other than that, I've just been like California, Utah, Florida, states around. But I was never a big traveler.
Well, maybe that's not your dream.
Yeah,
And I mean, let's face it, the US is big.
it
I've
is.
been to a couple of states, and I'm planning on getting back this summer or just shortly after the summer. I'm not still I'm not sure yet when or how, but it's big, and depending on where
Yeah, it
you
is.
are, there's a different time zone. There's a different climate. It looks different. I mean, from desert to mountains to green, from dry heat to wet heat, all that stuff. And
Yeah,
it's all one country.
mm. Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of different places. I mean, yeah, you're right. There's wet heat. There's dry heat. There's a desert. There's back where I'm from in New York. There's a lot more humid than it is out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, the cool thing is you can get in your car and you can start driving, and then you come somewhere. Marielle is laughing about it. So, okay. So when it comes to gratitude and appreciation of life, I wrote down some questions. And the first question is, have you considered what if? Have you ever considered what if? As in, what if
What
I
if what?
can no longer do it? What if I'm no longer around?
Well, I've thought about what if my arms don't work because I put my chair in my car like every time I go out anywhere, and eventually my shoulder's gonna go. So I've thought about what happens if when that happens, and it's just gonna be a lot more in the house. It's
Yeah.
just gonna be a sacrifice you gotta take.
No, maybe there are some other options too.
That and
There are systems that can put your wheelchair in the car, and of course there are those who are not manually um, used, but more, you know, with motors and all that stuff. But of course you're right, and actually I went to court a couple of years ago
mm-hmm.
because I was so fed up with not getting a parking card. Uh, and I said to the people, listen, I actually went there in a wheelchair. And I said, I used to be able to walk. Then I needed crutches. People didn't believe me. Then um, I asked for a card because I realized that it was taking a strain on my shoulders and on my
Mm-hmm.
elbows. And I had
Yeah.
to lean forward. So at some point, I couldn't do my job anymore. I used to be not only just a coach, but I was a medical fitness trainer. And more importantly, I also gave massages, and I was pretty good at it. I loved
Okay.
doing it because I loved the whole body, the tissue, the muscles, the bones, how it worked, because
Yeah,
it
it was
was
fun.
always
I
very
took I took
difficult
an
for me.
I took an anatomy class in college. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I've got so many anatomy books here, and I can basically just draw the whole body, or I can draw a limb, and then how it works, and I love that stuff. I totally. But at some point, I couldn't do it anymore, and I basically sold the table, the massage table, and that's when I decided to go do full-time coaching and also do stuff online more and more and more and more. So what is Mariella saying? Mariella, oh, we should do a class. Yeah, we could do a class. But anyway, well, actually, I almost had a book done, including all these drawings, and I had my own massage technique actually. So that was pretty cool. But so many things changed also because of the healthcare insurance. They didn't pay for certain treatments anymore. So I basically had to reinvent myself. But I still remember the day that I got into court and I was in that wheelchair because I couldn't go. It was so huge and I
Yeah.
couldn't walk it. I just couldn't walk it. So it was nice. So I didn't get a parking card to park nearby. And on top of that, I couldn't do it on my own, and I needed someone else to basically push me there because it
Mhm.
was too long of a walk. So who wants to join us? Let's see for a sec. Um, Jerry, I'm sorry. We are. Do you know Jerry? Jerry
No, I
Carter?
don't.
Okay.
No.
Well, just leave comments, and we'll get into the comments if you don't mind. um, so hang on for a sec. Yeah. So that's why I said the what if, and I actually said it to the people at the court, like, okay, this is
Mm-hmm.
what my quality of life has been reduced to now because no one wants to believe me, and no one is
Yeah.
helping me out. Well, I got the card about a year or two later,
Hmm.
when things
Yeah.
were more, when I knew what actually was going on and I could actually say it and prove it. Um, and because of it, I actually, my quality of life improved immensely because I was able to do certain exercises
Yeah.
and I could practice, walking little distances and all that stuff. And now I can walk a little bit further, considering that my knee doesn't cave in or something else is happening, of course.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, so that's the what if. And I really have had to adjust my life multiple times. Have you had to change, switch careers or whatever it was in life? Hey, Joe.
Have I had to change careers?
Yeah,
Based.
or something you did in life. I had to change careers. I mean, I grew up in the IT, and I did several things when I was in the IT. So I was on the communication side quite a lot. Um, uh, as someone who managed contracts, who taught other people, was into service, you name it. And I was either working with the providers or with customers or with both. But
Yeah.
because of the limitations they always set, at some point I was like, okay, I need to quit doing this because I got one burnout after another,
Hmm.
and that was not good.
No. No.
And when I started working on my own, of course, at first I had all these local people around here, and then of course I couldn't do that anymore because of what happened to my ankle, and then because of the guidelines of the health insurance companies. And so it was like I really had to literally reinvent me time and time and time again.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's uh, considering the what if. Then my second question is, do you live the life you want to, or do you postpone certain things? That's actually what we started with.
Yeah. I postpone things. I mean, just because I'm afraid of failing, so I let
Uh,
things wait.
yeah,
Which.
yeah, I totally get it. There's one thing I've always said I wanted to do, and I still haven't done it, um, and that's being on stage. And I always pictured myself behind the drum kit. Of course, at some point I couldn't anymore because of that same ankle, and
Yeah.
uh, and now I can start practicing again. So that's cool. That's what I do. I
Yeah.
love doing it. And someone offered me to be on stage as a keyboard player, and I was like, yeah, that's not what I had in mind. And it required some other skills. So I picked it
Hmm.
back up. Um, Actually, when my mom passed away, I wanted to play with her when she was still around, but she couldn't do it anymore. And
Hmm.
while her baby grand was still in the house and the house was still there, I used to play a lot on there. Um, so they wanted me to be in the band, and I was like, first of all, I don't know all the things on the keyboard as opposed to piano, but also I was like, you want something different than I do. So that could be regret. I don't know yet. But that's one thing that's definitely sort of on my bucket list.
Yeah. I get.
And that's maybe the word when it's on your bucket list, then maybe you should just do it.
Yeah. At least once. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there's one thing I sort of regret, even though I wasn't responsible for it. Um, so my mom and my dad were
Hmm.
pretty guarded.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, there was, of course, the hair metal bands were there, the glam metal and all that stuff, the hair metal. And by the early 90s, grunge came, and then it totally, um, yeah, lots of bands, they stopped. and they no
Mm-hmm.
longer went live. And there was this one drummer, Eric Carr, and that's why I'm still wearing this one,
Mm-hmm.
because he had that logo on his drum kit. He he passed away due to heart
Mm-hmm.
cancer, which is apparently pretty rare. But he did what he wanted to do. He got on stage, and apparently he was the nicest guy around. I saw him from distance at the beach when they were playing for the racetracks. But that's one of
Mm-hmm.
the things. And nowadays I do go to concerts because I know, like, okay, someone can suddenly pass away. So if you want to
Yeah.
see them, let's do it. And my mom always said, you will always have plenty of time to do it. And well, that's one thing I learned pretty quickly. Oh, that's so sweet that you did, Laura. Thank you. That I learned pretty quickly. You might become in a situation where you cannot do what it is you want to do anymore. So
Yeah.
the third question would be, do you take care of yourself or take things for granted? Well, we
Oh, I
know the importance.
take things for granted. Definitely. I definitely don't take care of myself as much as I should. That's for
You
damn
don't?
sure. No. No.
What could you improve?
What? No.
What could
I
you
should drink.
improve?
Should drink a lot more water
Mm,
because to flush out my kidneys because of my disability. Um I don't eat right. Yeah.
okay. So
Like
what
I
do
used
you
to
notice
I
when
skip
you do
breakfast
eat
most.
right?
What was that?
What would you notice when you would eat right? Is there a difference?
Um, just not being as hungry because I don't eat. I don't like food most for the most part. So like I tell my wife if I didn't have to eat, I wouldn't. So like I'll most days I skip breakfast, and then after a while your stomach rumbles and you don't feel as good. Yeah. So yeah, but that's my own fault.
So does it hurt for you to eat food? I mean,
It doesn't hurt. Just I just don't do it. Yeah.
no,
Like
okay.
it's like I never eat breakfast because even though I should.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have certain routines, and sometimes they change. So I do have a lot of shakes, which I make myself, like with coconut milk or almond milk, with a little bit of protein powder, fresh fruit, frozen fruit,
Yeah.
little seeds here and there. So it depends on the time of day, how much time I've got. But I always have something with me because um, so apparently I'm the person who gets hungry, and by the time
Mm.
I notice it, other people have noticed it, and I'm not the best one to be around when I need to eat.
What?
So,
That's happened to me too, even though I'm not a big eater. That's happened to me, but I recognize it and I eat pretty quickly after I have little moments of being a jerk to mostly to my wife, but she gets it. So and I apologize. So it doesn't happen that often.
mhm. So Laura says she used to eat steak. She doesn't do it anymore. I'm kind of curious why she stopped doing it. But I do know that with time, our preference can change. And also the availability and, of course, how we look at certain foods. Ooh, are you still there? I see a big circle. You are frozen. Hey, there you are again. That's good. It's good to see you again. Um, because of the fitness training I did,
Hmm.
um, and when you talk to Chris from uh, what does he call himself, from Tetty to Netty? So he's Iron Man. That's the
Yeah.
easiest way to say it.
Yeah.
Um, you automatically get pulled into eating certain things, like lots of protein. You have to make sure whether or not you're going to eat carbs. It's the egg whites, all that stuff. So there's the number of meals a day. So usually you have small meals, but several times a day. So
Mm-hmm.
and I got exposed to it from early 20s on. So and having also trained with bodybuilders, not that I was one, but they were.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they also taught me how to eat. Yeah, that's true. You can no longer like the taste of it anymore. And what I have, I'm getting into what Laura says. And what I've noticed is when our preference of food changes, it's usually because it's no longer good for us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, okay. So, in addition to the first three questions, I'm saying I wrote down what can you do now already, and what can you do to improve your life? And I guess those are the two main questions, including consider your dreams.
It's just for me, it's habits and routines are very important because you can figure out what you want to do, put them in a certain order, and just if you do them every day, you'll eventually or over time make a big difference and big changes in your life.
Yes, that's so true. Yes, it's important. Laura says, pray, get connected with people. Support is so important, and of
Yeah.
course, the people you hang out with are so important. And here's the thing, and I like what she says about good people. I know a lot of people who actually have gone downhill because they hang out with the wrong crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's really true. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up because I know you're not feeling very well, and it looks like you're a little bit done, over and done with the
Yeah.
whole thing. Um, so my last words. Do you want to have your last words first, or am I going to re read out loud what I wrote down?
I just for my last word, just figure out what you want to do. Uh, don't be afraid. Just power through, and because I've been afraid. I've wasted a lot of time on that, and it's not worth it. If you fail forward. You just do what you got to do, and always make a difference, even if it's a little bit. Just do it every day.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I love it. You know, one of the things I'm still grateful for is, well, I guess the year 2018, because not only did I travel through the US, but I also got to see a lot more of Europe. So that's kind of funny. That's when my traveling days started. Until COVID hit, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, of course, I did it with crutches and all. So it's going to be very interesting to see what life is like without crutches. Um, okay, so I wrote down appreciate you actually are living. So you are still around to do anything, to decide anything, to improve
Hmm.
things, to follow up on those dreams and wishes you've got. Maybe to tell others how you feel about them, and then in a respectful, positive way, of course. Making that difference, what you started with.
Yeah.
Um, Appreciate you still have time because you never know, you might suddenly run out of it. And I don't think we are going to get that age of 100 anymore. I don't believe you're going to reach it. I mean, yes, a lot of things have improved. We know a lot more about life, but if I look around me, then I think that the stress and also the quality of food is actually going downhill,
Yeah.
and stress is going up. So I see a lot of people who are actually dying young. Let's put
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah. Too bad.
Appreciate your body. So don't pour any poison in it when you don't have to. And there's a difference between not knowing and knowing it and still doing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you could do it and not know it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially with young kids, they are not aware of what alcohol might do to their brains. They are not aware of what certain drugs might do to their brains, and they might actually have started using it thinking it was totally okay, and
Mm-hmm.
now they figure out like it's not. It's like what do you call it? We call it laughing gas, the gas that you get, which sedates you a little bit when you've been in an accident and
Mm-hmm.
and you're in a lot of pain. So you get a certain substance, and they have these bottles now that they have in the car with those balloons, and then they actually inhale that stuff. Do you know what I mean?
I've never heard of that before. No.
Okay, well, it's actually stuff they use in the hospitals,
Okay.
but nowadays over here it's a trend. And most of the time when there's been an accident, then you can find young ones, and they have like literally did those. Um, it's like when you're diving, those bottles that you have on your back, and then the
Mm-hmm.
small ones, and they contain the substance which makes you immediately high. So apparently they use a balloon and they absorb it by means of that, and then they
Okay.
go driving, and of course they lose control.
Yeah.
It's a total hype and it's totally deadly, but I do not know what the term for it is in English. So going back to Laura really quickly, and hi, Angela. Did I already say that? I don't know if I said hi to Angela. Um, so Laura says, I have a niece and nephew. I need to take care of them, and I love them too. Yeah, and I actually posted this thing. I don't know if Mariella is still watching, but I actually recently posted something, both I think on Instagram and on TikTok, which was an appreciation for the ones taking care of, especially the young kids,
Mm-hmm.
um, um, the patience that they have. And it's not always a question of if you want to. I mean, if they're there, they're there. But still, the effort and the time it takes and the patience, I can totally, I can only appreciate it. And the reason I reported a little video about it was because I was live with Mariella, and she has a special needs kid who's 5 years old. The television was on, and there was this high shriek. And you can literally see me cringe on the video, literally like what's going on there,
Mm-hmm.
because I was wearing the headphones, so it was straight
Yeah.
into my brain. Um, and as a result, you could see it on the video, and she didn't react. And I was like, oh, okay. So I filled it out. The frequency, it was over 1,000 hertz. And then I
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
repeated again with the frequency, and I said, okay, kudos to the moms and dads out there. Okay, I'm really going to wrap up now. Take gratitude. Be aware of your possibility in time and life of limbs.
Yeah.
And this is the one question I want to ask everyone out there. The suggestion is look back as if this would be your last day of your life, your healthy life.
Mm-hmm.
And the question would be, what would you regret not having done? And that's what I
Um.
want to end. Yeah.
Only I would regret is not doing more in of what I love, like the writing, the kempo, the basketball. Because I mean, I've played basketball, but I haven't been on a team in a while. So those are the three things that I probably would regret not doing more of:
Okay, so the riding, the basketball, and what was
writing,
the
the
third one?
basketball, and kempo, martial arts.
Yeah. So, these are all things that you can pick up now again.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
And it's not like you're
I
not
know.
doing it. And that's the thing, of course. Like the moment that you think about it, it's the moment you can say, okay, let's change it. Why do I want it, and why would I regret it, and what can I do about it? So, last Friday, I was actually I had a different physical therapist than normal because they were on holiday, and
Mhm.
and so he asked me, what do you normally do on Friday? Because I go there twice a week. He said, well, I box, you know. And then he
Mhm.
said, okay, let's do some boxing. So I was totally not prepared. I didn't bring my boxing gloves, nothing of that sort. So there I was, on my socks on the floor. And fortunately, they do have the boxing gloves over there. And uh, there I went for it and I loved it. And I was actually thinking about it for a couple of weeks again, like I'm going to do it again. Um, and
Mhm.
I know why I stopped doing it because I got really dizzy. And I was dizzy afterwards for like half an hour, three-quarters of an hour, and
Mhm.
then it stopped again. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it again. And it's quite funny because my back is still hurting. But that
Yeah.
boxing, oh, I loved it. I loved it. It was, and it's
Good.
something I can do. Um, I cannot do it fully yet, with the running
Yeah.
and going forward and backward. I still need the second brace for that. But
Mhm.
yes, it was a good thing. And I never thought about boxing back in the days, but it was actually when I went to the physical therapist that I was like, oh, that would be cool to do because it's when it comes to those power sports, those are the things I usually can do.
Yeah.
So yeah, and in addition to it, I know what I said when I went to court. And the good thing is, and we recently talked about this, the physical therapist and I did, my backs actually are starting to go backwards again.
Mhm.
So because I'm really flexible, they had to do a little bit of pulling every time, which is not normal for the average person, but for me it's the way to get things in the right position again.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of clicking when I'm turning my shoulders. But now when I throw the ball to the physical therapist and when it goes haywire, normally I couldn't coordinate my hands anymore to throw that
Mhm.
ball. And nowadays I can actually do it again. So it pops back in place. And so that's
Good.
a big plus.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, so I know you need some time to get to yourself because you have been a little bit under the weather the last hour or two.
I'm gonna go lay down when we leave when we're done.
Yeah, so well, we've said a lot in a short amount of time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just like people think about it. Have you lived life the way you want to up till now? Have you taken life for granted? Have you appreciated the life you've had up till now? Do you even appreciate life? And what can you get out of it?
Yeah.
So,
Most people think about that kind of stuff.
yeah. So, um, if I can get people, we can get people to consider how are we appreciating life, and especially you and I, we know what it's like to not be capable of doing
Yeah.
everything, especially you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so we know the implications if something else would fail, and that's why I
Mhm.
say
Yeah.
to the people out there, you have full access to all your limbs. You can do whatever you want. Use it to your advantage,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
make sure you don't get in the
It
position
does make it
we
easy.
are in involuntarily.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, I guess, between can you avoid it, or do you have to deal with it? And I mean, if you have to deal with it because you can't avoid it, that's one thing. But if you could avoid it, hmm, maybe that's the time to think about it.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to wish you a good rest. Get well soon,
Good night.
and Thank you for having been here.
Of
So,
course.
and we'll be here again next week.
Okay. Yeah.
And for those
Okay.
who want the statements and the questions, I'll be putting it in a PDF so people can actually ask
Okay.
for it and get it.
Okay. Thank you.
So, okay, hang on
Okay.
tight, and we'll talk soon again.
Bye.
Bye bye.